I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, has all of council had a chance to review the minutes for last month and any corrections that weren't made? Any comments? If not, I will take a motion for the treasurer to file that. Motion by Deb.
I'll second.
Second by Greg Moss. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public comment. We'll have public comment. Whoever wants to lead off, go ahead and step up here and your name and address, please.
Sure. Okay. So about 2 months ago, Jeff Dallas, 22 Cherry Street.
Thank you.
I think you all have that memorized. So a couple months ago, I brought up the backyard chickens. It was denied, and their response was that there just wasn't enough interest, and if people cared, they would have showed up. So tonight, we've got a couple people who have chickens, previously had chickens, have been chicken farmers in the past, and they're just gonna come up and say a couple of things to hopefully show that there's an interest in this town and it's worth looking into. So, thank you.
All right.
Mandy Krovic at 18 Cherry Street. Jerome Shelton, also 18 Cherry Street.
Can you spell your last name?
I can, KRAWCZUK.
And I'm sorry.
Jerome,
Oh, okay, great.
last name Chilton, CHILT.
We are married.
Thank you.
So we had gotten a notice to remove the chickens that we have. Now, before I had gotten the chickens, I had looked through the ordinances and I couldn't find anything in there that says that I can sell chickens. The only place it's listed is under a definition of agriculture. But there was nowhere that I could find that said that I couldn't have the chickens. So we went and my kids and I picked up chickens and we got 6 little chicks. And we have since raised them and are now getting 2 to 4 eggs a day. We have a 10-month-old, a 19-year-old, who's almost 16-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And this it just made a world of a difference. You know, the 10-month-old will eat 2 eggs a day. This one, I can't tell you how many he can put away in hard-boiled eggs. Not having to go to the store to spend that $4 on a carton of eggs. I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay. Really has made the world of a difference. You know, the amount that we spend financially, we're a low-income household. I'm a stay-at-home mom with our 10-month-old. To offset the cost of childcare and traveling and everything, it just doesn't make sense for me to find a job. I have to be making at least $60,000, and I'm being a stay-at-home mom. They're not really, too easy to come by. So we're a one-income household. I've calculated it, especially after we got this, we spend about $20 every 2 to 3 months on their feed. That's it. So going through almost 2 dozen eggs a week, it's so much easier for us to have them. We have them contained. They're in the backyard. We actually have fencing where we can let them free range in our yard and not be able to go anywhere else to bother anyone. They're only hens. There are no roosters. We've had no issues with pets there's stray cats in the yard. The cats haven't even bothered them. We've had no issues whatsoever. Our children, our neighbors' children, our neighbors' children all come over to check and see if there's eggs and help feed them. It's been so enriching to help raise them, as well as reap the benefits from raising them. It's really made the world of a difference for our family. So I am asking that we please at least consider this. Being able to have them, again, I'm not fully clear on why we can't have them or where it states that we can't have them. But I'm just asking, I understand there has to be rules and controls. But this is like, any household with a dog, right? They can keep their dog as long as the dog isn't barking incessantly all hours of the night. They can keep the dog as long as the dog isn't getting out and scaring people, hurting people, biting people. Once they start causing an issue, that's when we have the enforcement where we have to create those, enforcement issues or whatever, call the police, whatever happens. But these guys I haven't had any personal complaints. I don't know what triggered the letter, whether it was a personal complaint or just somebody seeing that, to say that's against the rules. I'm not sure, but nobody's approached me. If there's something I can do to fix that particular complaint, if that's what the case was, I'm more than willing. I will bend over backwards to do whatever I need to do to be able to keep these for myself and my family. So,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Why did you not call the zoning officer to make sure you got the chickens?
So I am not a homeowner. I never have been.
Oh, so
I'm
you
also
don't own the
from-
home?
I do not. No, our landlord, who's fully aware of all this. She's fine with the chickens as well, as long as we, as long as she doesn't receive a fine, right? So I've never owned a home, and I come from New Jersey, and in New Jersey, we don't have rules in townships like this. So I'm not fully aware on how all of that works. I wasn't aware I needed to call a zoning officer or do this, and, I'm.
I think it'd be more of a code enforcement officer than zoning, I'd be that kind of zoning.
Okay.
I believe.
But yeah, I knew enough to look and be like, hey, are there any rules on this? I learned that a couple years ago with a pool issue that I was not aware of. So, like I said, I looked for rules, but again, just hearing a, no, you can't do that, I still can't find the where it says that.
Well, now see, in July,
Can we help her with where it says that?
okay,
Yeah.
In zoning, and the solicitor correct me if I'm wrong, but in zoning, you're not gonna find where it says you cannot do X, Y, and Z. The zoning ordinance tells you what you can do and where. So if it's not listed in the particular zoning, that means you can't do it.
Well, so again,
So
when I
it
look
lists
at
what's
the,
permitted.
okay, so when I look at that, it doesn't tell me I can have pets. It doesn't tell me I can have an outdoor dog. It doesn't tell me if I can run a sprinkler 24/7. It doesn't tell me if I could have a garden of, 10 rows of corn or 50. It
They're
doesn't,
not.
at what point does it, it's up for interpretation. That's really, it's not, these are our pets. So we're not butchering them, we're not farming them. We do collect meat, absolutely. We'd be stupid not to, but these are our pets. We pick them up, we pet them, we play with them. They have names, they are, so what crosses the line from gardening to farming? What crosses the line between farming chickens and having a couple chickens for pets that also feed our family? We're not looking to butcher them for their meat, that's because they are our pets, so they're gonna die of old age.
see, I have a problem with this, because in July,
Mhm.
we had somebody come to the council and talk about chickens. There's 4 of us on this council that said no chickens, and this really upsets me now. We're back here in August, September, talking about chickens again, and we said in July, 4 of us said no chickens.
Okay.
And this upsets me now that we're back here in September talking about it again.
I do apologize that
Hold on,
you're.
Jessica, hold on, Jessica.
I just had a question, like, you said you came from New Jersey, was it high density like it was here, and were they allowed
It was
chickens?
mixed, and yes,
They were allowed chickens on very small lots.
yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, because, my dad it was a corner lot, so his was a bit bigger, but our neighbors was not, they had them as well. It wasn't, I don't know if it's because, I don't understand it, and this is nothing against just this county, it's Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's because it's Commonwealth that things are so different, but it is very different
I
from New
mean,
Jersey.
and chickens.
I didn't have to get permission to set up a pool
Yeah.
even, so that was very new.
Like with the chickens, of course, you wouldn't work on cleaning out this area, maybe smelling.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Problem, we didn't have dogs, people around here now have dogs, I have neighbors that have dogs and stuff. Constantly, and in the summertime, it changes there. so guess what you smell?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you keep your standing outside, what you smell is called traffic smart, and enforcement is, it's tough. I get it.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that, where if, you know, if my neighbor next door is starting to smell their stuff,
Yeah.
like, yeah, either tell me, or yeah, you know what, it's time for them to go, because I'm not taking proper care
I
of
mean,
them.
you're probably right, you're probably the one that takes the proper care of them, and the next one is gonna be the one that doesn't do that, but, you know, once you allow it, it's not up for everybody. And it's like, where do you draw the line, chickens, is it pigs next?
Well, and that brings me back to where it doesn't say you're not allowed.
Right, but, pigs.
So it's for people that don't want them,
Yeah,
you know, but I was, by one of your council members, allowed to borrow a trailer to go get their food. Who doesn't want them? Like, it's pick and choose, it depends on who it is, it is not. Just saying.
But I still disagree with the chickens. If, I was raised on a farm, I know what they are. I just cleaned out a place up in Merch Springs that had 15 or 18 chickens, and it was rat holes everywhere. It was a mess.
You know we have.
Now, you got 6 chickens, okay? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, now, if we allow this, and then your neighbor has 6, and that neighbor has 6, now we're up to 18 chickens. And where's it gonna stop? I mean, the lots are very small. I love chickens myself. But I don't think it's, the place in the borough, the lots are too small.
So the difference between the chicken coops that you clean out from people that are older or have passed or have been neglected, that's very, very different than a family taking care of them. And I know you can't sit here and depict what one person is gonna do versus another. You know, just like each one of the council members up here, is a completely different person behaving in a completely different way, right? Okay, we don't judge all of you collectively, at least I don't.
I'm giving my opinion.
I understand.
Go about it.
You know, I do. And as far as the rats go, we've had a rat living under Broadway
But you
shed for
got
a
6,
long
and
time.
then,
Well
10
before.
of your neighbors want to get up to 50 chickens, and it's just.
That's why we proposed an actual ordinance that says, hey, you know what, you can have 2 on this size property, or 6 on this size property, to try to put some control in it, because right now, I mean, I can tell you the homeowner agrees with us. You know, she's on board, she's all for it, she knows the struggles that we've had, and how much this has helped us economically, and you may think $5 a week isn't much, and I'm very, very happy for those of you that don't, but for me, I mean, that's counting change sometimes, to make sure that I can get eggs, to make sure I can get milk.
I think it's financially feasible to do that, because I can tell you, I took a picture, last week was at legal at the college.
Yeah.
You know, for the colleges, across the legal there, and eggs were $1.64 a dozen for large eggs.
I don't shop.
You know
Yeah,
what?
I mean, that's.
But-
Homegrown.
That's great, because usually they're $4.
Organic?
All right, let's give Mike 1 minute to explain maybe a little bit better.
Okay, I'll try and help you out a little bit.
Okay.
First of all, I happen to know New Jersey has zoning. Now,
They do have them, yes.
okay, and a lot of the issues in New Jersey and Maryland have a lot of what's called strong county governments, not a lot of local. I mean, yes, they have townships, they have other municipalities, and that may be part of the issue, who does your enforcement. But first of all, this is the zoning map of Seven Valley Borough. You live in the pink area, which is called the Village Center Zone. Okay, the way the ordinance is written right now, if you look in here, livestock, poultry is permitted in the rural agricultural zone, which is the green area. It's not your area, it's the green area. And then, if we go to section 602, it talks about animals and livestock, which the definition of livestock includes chickens. You can have them in the R zone, which is the yellow zone, if you can have the building for the chickens at least 100 feet from the property line. That's what the ordinance says. It permits them in those 2 zones. We have a rule in zoning that if something is permitted somewhere, that automatically means it's excluded and not permitted everywhere else. So if you look in the ordinance, you see, you can do this in the rural ag zone, which is the green zone, and with the 100-foot limit rule, you can do it in the R zone. That's where chickens are currently permitted in the borough. Not in your zone, not in the industrial zone. That is, I believe, why you got the notice of violation. So trying to explain, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, just trying to explain, you said you can't find it in the book, that's where
I
it
mean,
is.
I wouldn't have looked under the other two
That's,
zones because they
that's
don't
where
live
it
there.
is. And again, the general rule in Pennsylvania, if it's permitted in one zone, not permitted somewhere else, you can't do it somewhere else. Okay? Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's all I had.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi, Chris McJanick, 9 Cherry Street. Just to add on with what Manny said, you know, my children are 7, 12, and 17. 17-year-old, you know, they're older, they do their own thing. But the 7 to 12-year-old, I mean, we go for a walk every day in town. My 7-year-old will beeline down into their yard to check to see if these chickens have eggs. You know, she's claimed one of Mandy and Drone's chickens as her own.
Evie.
Yes, Evie. Now, does that make everything right or not? That's neither here nor there. But what it comes down to is, yes, these chickens have become pets of multiple families within the family. Now, while this is going on, you know, I also have a bird dog, and I thought about getting quail. With this going on, I don't even know what to do anymore, because technically, those are game birds. Do we want to cross this line and go tiptoe on everything with game birds and poultry and farm livestock? Not what I'm trying to do. I'm saying there are more than just one family that's being affected by this. You know, I'm here saying that I don't think it's that big of a problem if they are kept. There will be rules in place for animals that are creating a nuisance in the town, whether it's a smell or animals, coyotes, rats, whatever it may be. That's what ordinance and rules under these ordinances are in place for. I don't see a problem personally with it, as long as it's kept under control. No smell, no noise, no disturbance from these birds. Then it shouldn't be a problem. If a neighbor has an issue with it, go over and talk to the house that does have these chickens. They can either work together, fix the situation, or it could come back here or to a zoning situation where I would like to say that if there is a serious situation coming up with these birds, Mandy and Jerome would not have a problem then taking care of the situation. But to cut it off at a head when really no issue has even occurred yet, personally, I don't think that is the correct step. But we're also here to try to give an allowance to some of the townspeople. Whether it's here or there, I don't think half the town's going to be getting chickens and we're going to be overrun by 80, 90, 100 chickens. But it is something that would have to be kept in eye on, which is what the council and the borough and zoning and everyone, code enforcement is here for. You know, if you stay within the rules and regulations and it is not causing a disturbance in the town, then what is the real issue with doing this? Well, it is, okay, but there's a rule that's in place, but if people follow the rules.
Chris, let me, and I'm not saying this rule in general, but most of the rules that were put in place because there was a problem.
Right.
What that problem was probably wasn't reported. It's probably not in a report from 1915 or whatever the problem was. There was probably a problem. I'm saying probably. I'm not saying there was a problem. I'm saying a lot of the rules that were put in place, and that's where I'll leave it with as far as the rules. I have no problem with things changing. I'm not. I do
And
not.
that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm looking forward to. Like we all live in the borough. Why can't we have a little bit of change? And if something does get out of hand, okay, then we revert back to the way it was because that was the right thing to do and that was the right way to have it. But that doesn't say that you can't take a step out and say, okay, it's been X many years, we haven't had this brought up. Now we're having it brought up, and there's a family or two that would like to give this a try. If it's a trial, let it be a trial. I mean, you can let it be a trial, and if it gets out of hand, okay, revert back to the way the rule was.
Okay.
And now,
Not to interrupt you.
no, that's
but
good, go
I've
ahead.
talked to people since this has come up. Had one person approach me at the post office, and they don't want the chickens either. The smell, they brought up the coyotes, they brought up, the rats, the flies and everything. And then I talked to somebody else, they said the same thing. They don't want them in the borough, okay? Same thing, coyotes. And yes, we have coyotes that run this creek.
And they've been here for
Okay,
years.
yeah, I know. But, that is what they're worried about. I talked to this person and they told me they know 2 families up on the Borough already who had chickens, and the coyotes have ate every one of them.
That's their problem, that's
I
not in the borough.
understand that, but I'm saying this is why the people don't want the chickens. Is because we're afraid the coyotes to come in, you're gonna have the rats, you're gonna have the mice, you're gonna have the flies. No.
Now, we have the coyotes, we have the rats, we have the mice, long before these chickens ever came around.
Well,
I found a dead rat in the corner of my property.
Well, I haven't seen that one.
That-
I'm just telling you.
that doesn't make it-
That people have talked to.
Just because you haven't
don't
seen
want
it does not mean that it's not there. You hide something behind a curtain, no one's gonna see it. So you have that curtain up in front of you, you don't see it happening,
No,
but that means that it is still happening. It was here long before this was an issue. And even though you're stuck in your own way, that is fine. But you have to realize that there is a curtain up, that things are happening behind that curtain that you're not wanting.
But what I'm trying to say is, the lawyer already told you where the boundaries are, where they can be.
We're talking about a possible change. That's what I'm here saying. There is room for change.
There's not gonna be.
You are sorry, but that's all right. There is room for change, and that's what we're trying to see. If we can have a little bit of change and see what the outcome is. You could be stuck in your ways, and that is fine. That's perfectly all right. I'm stuck in my ways with a lot of things. But if you don't have an intent and a trial, you have a stuck law that no one knows why it was there or where it came from. These are years in advance from when the ordinances were set. And we're just seeing if we can make an exception, make a change for a trial, not an exception. But see what happens afterwards. Because until there is a problem, I know for a fact, I haven't smelt it. I've been down there. It's clean. There are no rodents or anything down there. Coyotes haven't come and taken any of them, or my dog, or my neighbor's dogs. So, and they've been here for years, long before chickens came into the borough. Now, I mean, isn't there room for a change to see, like, give a trial? Like, that's what it is. Give an allowance, see what happens. If it is a problem, document it, and we move on from there, and that stays this way. So in the future, when another group, another generation goes to bring it up, they have it documented. Okay, so on this year, this is what happened. This is how the ordinance was. They tried changing it, they had a trial for this amount of time, it caused these problems. That's why we're not doing it. Then it doesn't have to be revisited later. But if you don't have that step forward to change, you don't have any knowledge of what could be now. That's my opinion.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Yes, it's Mikijanic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to agree with those rats not having to, especially because of the result of somebody neighboring property that's not doing something. You know what I mean? I mean, not chickens, but
Right.
unkept property, people having junk around.
And it does happen, it's something that does happen, but you always have to look at one situation what we're dealing with. And all of a sudden, we're talking about coyotes and mice and rats. Well, you have to take a step back and look outside of that. They were there to begin with. Yeah, they're over here, maybe they moved over here. If those chickens were here, maybe they're here. But whether or not they were in the area, does that mean that they weren't there? Just because one person or people haven't seen them doesn't mean that they're not there. And now that somebody noticed them, since chickens are in the area, and that's the current topic, oh no, chickens brought the rats, or the mice, or whatever. But they were here to begin with, they just moved.
Anything else for Chris now?
Thank you.
Okay, can we go, because we gotta get Toby time. Can we go up? Okay, thanks.
Next up. Let's move on.
We are Taylor and Dakota Mason at 38 Main Street. And my first question is, I don't know your name, Michael. Can I see that map, please, that you had pulled up, please?
Sure.
Just out of curiosity. And she's like, well, it's curious.
Keep her up here.
It's Tubby time.
There you go. This is the borough zoning map. This is the map that shows the zoning districts in the borough. You're where on? You're on Church Street?
Main.
Main Street, okay.
At 38.
So you're,
It's probably down here, though.
okay, you're
Right
across,
here.
there's Cherry Street, so you're right in here.
Right there in the green. or
No,
the
no,
red.
you'd be in the pink.
If you're right along the street. So, we live at 38 Main Street. We have a house beside us who, no one lives there. And we live across from the bar, where everyone hears my roosters and my chickens. I have 20 in my backyard. And no one has ever brought up to me that they are a problem. They are my pets, they are my food source. I am also a stay-at-home mom. And in this economy, no one has a lot of money. And I prefer a little bit of homesteading and having natural food sources for my daughter that we tried a year and a half for due to infertility issues. Because it all comes back, go ahead. Because it all comes back to our food. I have a silkie, she's about yay big. Lays 1 egg a day. They're this big. Perfect for my daughter for breakfast. I have a store-bought egg and a farm fresh egg. Your store-bought eggs are packed with steroids and hormones and all of that shit. Excuse my language. I just really care about my birds. My healthy egg here is pure orange and the healthiest thing that you will probably ever put in your bodies. I had a chicken who was my heart chicken, and she got slaughtered by a hawk the other day. And I watched her bleed out in my hands. And I never thought I would be so obsessed with my chickens as the way I am. I walk across on our daily nights, and people at the bar will make comments of, your roosters sound really cool. Or your rooster's broken, it's nighttime. And no one has ever complained in the 3 years that I've had my beautiful birds out back. And if you want me to crack my eggs, I will, because the difference is amazing of what you actually do put in your bodies. Your comment about coyotes, my husband's been hunting since he was 12. Coyotes are extremely intelligent and they would never step foot in a borough.
You're not gonna get a coyote in the middle of town, it's just not gonna happen.
He's also been a chicken farmer for 14 years, since he was 12.
And you don't get rats by having 6 chickens. You get rats by having 3,000 chickens.
We have 20 birds, no one's ever complained. Excuse me, I'm talking, thanks. We don't have a lot of time, thanks. We have children, we have a child.
Understood.
We are obviously in the pink zone, so which means we are not even supposed to technically have our birds anymore.
We had 5
And
years.
we've had them for 3 years, no one's ever complained, everyone thinks they're great. We have so many eggs that I can't even put a sign in the yard saying we have fresh eggs because everyone's buying them because they're so healthy, and we are determined to bring the homesteading back a little bit because this economy and this government is trying to be in control of absolutely everything we do. Again, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so when I get a dozen eggs a freaking day, I'm assured that my daughter is eating beautiful, healthy things. 1, because they get organic, and 2, because they eat their grass, our grass borough. The coyotes will never be in this borough. They are intelligent, they are smart, and if you do hunting and if you do research, you will never see a coyote in a borough attacked anywhere, even near.
Unless it has rain. There's no way a coyote's just gonna wander.
Have a field behind our fence. Never once had
No raccoons, no
no
coyotes.
raccoons, no coyotes, no foxes, no nothing.
Couple here. That's it.
So if you take into perspective of, if you do your research, you're gonna know there's no predators in the borough.
No, I will disagree with that. I am a, I know.
Where have you seen coyotes?
Well, we have skunks, we have possums, and I
Skunks
know.
don't eat
You see
chickens.
coyotes in cities. Coyotes are everywhere.
They're
They're
extremely
definitely gonna be,
intelligent.
yeah, but they're gonna be in the boroughs too. They're in the cities. You see
Okay,
them in
I've had my chickens 3 years. Why have we not had any type of predators?
So if you're gonna see them in the city,
They're
they're
literally-
not like chickens.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably raised in the backyard.
The neighbors behind us also have chickens, and they live way back in the woods.
They're here, you just don't know.
My husband's been hunting since he's been 12. He has 20 coyotes. I'm sorry that this is fun.
It's not funny.
That stirs laughing.
No, I'm not laughing. You said your husband's been hunting since he was 12. I said, oh, I think he's been hunting since he was 12.
I
That's what
understand,
said.
but
I was not laughing at this
Okay, I'm done.
situation. I'm not laughing at
this
it.
is my first
That's
council
a good
meeting, and we've
point.
been here for 5 years in the borough, and it's been a hell of a ride so far. I am thankful for you because you made our furnace very easy to get, but I have not had to deal with anybody else, except for you, Mark, you like walking past her.
Yeah, I'm looking at your junk.
She likes waving at you, and your junk, yeah. But I just wanted to come and voice my opinion that my birds are my pets. They're 3 years old. Some of them don't even lay anymore because they're old, but they're still my pets, and that's just what we do. We're homesteading. We're a single income family, and if I think they're contained and they're not bugging anybody, I don't really see a problem with it because no one complained about my birds, and we have 20 of them. And a turkey. But he's leaving Saturday, so.
Thank you.
I need ducks.
Ducks.
Need ducks.
I don't want ducks, they're messy.
No
You
ducks.
said turkey, and that cut it off for me, I'm sorry.
So I'm not speaking for myself, I'm speaking on behalf of Jamie, who is not able to come on and speak. Because she does not have a voice right now.
Right.
So this is for Jamie Zuko. She said, we gave up our chickens in Seven Valleys.
Address.
I don't know her address, but
42. 42 Church Street.
My kids love chicken.
There's a difference.
Two church.
How much are
You do it, I am holding her, please.
says, she says, we gave up our chickens in Seven Valleys in 2014 without a fight. I heard a lot of things, but our lot was too small, which didn't make sense since our neighbor had a rooster that she had to give up too. And that we were in the village zone. We had 6 hens and a rooster. And while I would admit that my rooster was loud, the motorcycles that blew past my house are louder and make me flinch without warning. We were told that our lot was too narrow, and when I looked into it later, I noticed we were in the village zone, which has different rules than residential. I can't say that I was given any citation. I was given a letter to my neighbor that apparently was not from Seven Valley letterhead, just another resident. I didn't find anything in the code against it either, but to be honest, I just gave up. I was upset, and my kids were really sad, and they still remember it 10 years later. They learned from it too. 6 eggs a day, it helps, especially now. I remember one time I was walking with my children, and we saw a dead deer trussed up and draining on a neighbor's front porch. I grew up in the country, and I can respect hunters that need to bag a few deer to feed their families, even if that means I have to explain to my then alarmed 7-year-old why the deer is dead and why we don't need to call 911. I just want chickens. There were people who had them when we first moved into Seven Valleys in 2010, including our late neighbor, and I just want them now.
Thank you.
So when I came up first, to just give my,
Come back up later if you want.
no, because I have kids too, and we have a bedtime.
You already spoke
No,
once.
I was giving,
once, Jessica.
I was giving an introduction to people. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Jessica. You got
Thank
a
you.
couple minutes.
Thank
Couple
you.
minutes. Is it about chickens?
Yes,
Okay.
we're staying on topic here.
What?
All right, this is to address Deb Reese. I had sent out an email. I sent it to Todd and, no, this was sent out to council. Coyotes keep coming up. Because of that, I like to do my research. Remember the last meeting I said,
I
should
know
we back?
what you said. I'm
Okay.
only telling you what I have talked to people and what they told me.
But did you read the statistics that came out? There are so few statistics about coyotes in Pennsylvania, they don't even record them. If you look at that link that I had sent you, between, I believe, 1977 to 2011, there were a total of approximately 350 coyote attacks in the whole country. 100 of such over 100 upset because we're in California because their land had been encroached on,
Well, people,
people,
okay,
people.
not, that's.
So people had been attacked. I would just think that humans are more important than, I don't know, livestock, my cat, my dog that goes out. And where does the limitation go with how many dogs you have? What if everybody in the neighborhood got 6 dogs? What if everything starts with no? I really appreciated Chris's comment about a trial period. And I know this is frustrating for everybody. And I know you guys are like, why are we talking about this for 35 minutes? But that's the beautiful thing about government, is that the people can continue to come back and voice their concerns and opinions. So while I know you are adamantly against it, we have a right to come back every single time because there might be a chance that when we present facts and we tell our stories, it's with somebody's mind. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I'd just like to say, Keith Becker, 54 Maple Street. I very well may be in the green zone. I'm just telling you, I don't care. Okay. I agree with the new chicken thing. I like you, Mark, I like chickens myself. It's a small town. It is a very small town. I have dogs. If my dogs are out howling and barking, raising hell, I can get in trouble. And I understand. But I just don't think there's no room. That's me. That's all I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Anybody else?
I'll just real quick, Kayla, 109 Main. I am okay, I'm in green zone, and it doesn't matter, I'm not gonna home anyway, but I'm okay with chickens. I just want to put that out. Chickens are fine. Okay, all right, that's it.
Diana Schultz, 16th Church Street. We just moved in recently from Bay Hill Road, which we had chickens from the neighbors, 20 yards. It was right from our window, from the bedroom window with the rooster, and it was like 20 chickens and never had any problems. We lived there for 7 years and they never bothered us. They never bothered anybody else, and we lived right back to the forest. And we had a dog and a cat, which was always outside, and it was absolutely fine. Never had any problems in 7 years with any cats around or any small animals. And it was right in the forest, and I think we lived in Hawaii before that, and they have wild chicken there in Kauai Island. And it didn't bother anybody. They were everywhere, literally coming like 15, 20 of them with the little chicks around, and it was absolutely fine. Maybe if it's regulated for like certain amount and you just give it a try, if people opt for it, I don't see any harm of that, me personally. But it's everybody, thinks differently, so we respect everybody's opinion, but we just want to say that we're from the city, and we have cats and a dog, and we like chicken, and we like fresh eggs, organic, not from the store. We love Lidl, and we go there all the time. And I went to Lidl in Italy, my mom was there, and I know the difference between food taste in Europe and from Moldova and here, and it's a huge difference. And then the raised farm, or at least a few chickens, not many, and not good for like many chickens in that small neighborhood, but a few chickens, like up to 6, that wouldn't bother anybody. Decide to give it a try. I want to say that we're for chicken if it's not a big amount. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Daisy, 61 Main Street.
Sorry, what's the name?
Daisy, I don't care how you spell it.
Okay, and what's the last name?
Fraley, F-R-A-L-E-Y.
Okay, thank you.
I'm for chickens. I love them. My friends have them. My kids' grandparents have them. I personally don't want chickens. I have 2 children and a dying husband, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. I don't have time. But who's to say that because I don't have time, that the neighbor can't have time, and the next neighbor can have time, and the next neighbor, as long as they're taking care of. And that's why I think the ordinance that they're asking you guys to change isn't to say yes or no, we can't have chicken. It's to hold people accountable that if they have chicken, because you say yes to everybody, that's not everybody's gonna get them. Because I'm saying yes, but I don't want chickens in my yard. I don't have time for it. But if you're saying yes to chickens, then I think you should, but my kids love them. We go over to their grandfather's house over in Spring Road, and he's got some Kevin bacon, and run around the chicken. The kids love it. We go to West York Borough. One of my best friends lives right next to the West York Borough mayor, has 6 chickens in her backyard. Her backyard is smaller than mine. And smaller chickens, 2 chicken coops in it with 6 chickens. Now, they do have a thing where they don't have 6, which I think is a good number, even 4 is a good number. But still, this isn't about yes or no, it's about trying to change and trying to get people to be accountable for that change. So, that's my piece.
Thank you.
Who else? All right. Moving to the engineer's report. Your report. What's your report?
Okay, I'm gonna have everybody's attention to the sewer authority report that came out for their July 17th minutes, because that actually has some information in it on the report from the mediation hearing. One of the things that we were waiting on was some additional budgeting items from the authority to look toward the future. And this kind of coincides a little bit with Brandon's letter that he put on everybody's desk dated 8/26, talking about the price of the aeration equipment. If you look at the July 17th minutes on page 5, you'll note that there were some projects that were estimated into the costs so that this could be presented when we have our next meeting. It does show some substantial upgrades that are needed. The third proposal in there, 5819, talks about the aerobic digester, the decanters, and the aerators, and that's essentially what's mentioned in Brandon's letter, where he's mentioning it to be about $500,000. So he knows the price is $514,148. So it is basically, that was the information they were looking at getting. Again, the July minutes say that they were going to look at what the upgrades were for the pumps. As you know, part of this issue is there are certain things we pay for ourselves, like the Church Street pump station. There are certain things that are shared expenses. And I think they want to get all this out in the open so we know where we're headed for. Because of course, we've discussed a number of times the fact that they were looking by 2025 or so to have the indebtedness paid off for the bonds for when the sewer was first put in. 2027, thank you. So if you've got between $500,000 and $1 million worth of upgrades, guess what you're going to need? Additional financing. So and it might not be as bad, but you're still going to have some debt service to deal with. So those are issues that are still outstanding with regard to the mediation. So we do not have another meeting scheduled. I would not be surprised to see something come up within the next month or two. The Tri-Community Ambulance Building, nothing new. I did mention, I think at the last meeting, that the court approved it. The deed has been prepared. I did a little quick title search and found that there was an outstanding lien still on the property from People's Bank. Indications are from the information we got today that the lien was paid off. It just was never satisfied on the record. So again,
that's a way to check that.
Well,
to recheck that.
yeah, Casey, and I'll wait and see that it's satisfied. According to Casey up the road at People's, it's going to be satisfied soon because it was the bank's oversight. And that happens. I've had that happen in the States and other places where we find open liens that just weren't properly satisfied.
Many times as well, depending on the age of the lien, they mail out the stop piece and it's up to the owner of the property to record them, and many didn't because they didn't want to pay the recording fee. So it's not an uncommon thing for us to be finding.
So again, the draft deed was proposed. I mentioned a couple of very small technical changes to Attorney Jones and Hirschner to represent the ambulance. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a deed by next month. So I would suggest at this point, if we didn't do it already, we would need to make a motion to give Todd the authorization to get hazard insurance, all insurance on the building, and anything else that needs to be done to transition to the borough being an owner. So I'd like that to be a motion, please.
I'd make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Bill, second by Greg. To have Todd fill out, get all the insurance if the deed is when the deed is transferred. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Jeff, Stick, please.
We know the officer last month that gave it. So,
Okay.
none tonight.
That's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
I think the solicitor at this point. Zoning and code enforcement report.
Everyone has a copy of my report, and there's copies there for the audience as well. What you see in red text is what's new since the last meeting. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. 34 Main Street, across from the fire hall. I didn't look to see if it was done today, but our contract mower was going to come down today to mow it for the third time this year. I did send invoices to the property owner, but she has not yet paid us, so I'll ask the solicitor to place liens on the property to reimburse the borough. But given the fact that it was now the third offense, I did file with district court for a violation of our weed ordinance. And the other thing, just a little side note, the Miller property that burned down on 150 Church Street, on their thing wasn't solved, but they have the property for sale. So apparently they're not going to build. So.
Question about Main Street. Is there something that we have wrote that after it gets done, that we can keep it mowed down decently before we let it get like that again? I don't know if it's gonna get like that again this year. Well, didn't we put something together for repeat that we could keep after?
Last year we did that.
You're saying before it gets to 12 inches.
Before it gets looking like it's
The
big.
way the ordinance was written, the way we did it, they get one notice at the beginning of the season. And if it continues to be a problem and it's not addressed, we just keep on letting them know.
Okay.
But does it have to grow to 12 inches before you just go back in and mow it?
It still has.
That's what
It's
you
not,
meant.
it's not in violation if it's not at 12 inches.
But we
You
can go
can't,
in.
you can't
once it
mow
grows
it,
to
you
12
can't mow it at
inches.
6 and then leave the property because they're not in violation.
Yep.
That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions. Anything for zoning code? Zoning code?
My understanding is too, I think 34 Church, they might be going up for sale as well from the tenant, and it looks like there's some people the last couple of days touring the building.
You mean Maine?
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, you're right, thank you. I did want to mention that, because I actually had a call from Realtor last week asking questions about the use and what the property can be used for and so forth, so I emailed him the sections out of the zoning ordinance.
And we're gonna get that in
But
ASAP.
Get that lien filed,
Yeah.
get the information.
I mean, while we're at it, how are we gonna address 18 Cherry at this point, going forward? Like, I mean, with the violation of the chickens, I mean, going forward, is that something that, I don't know, what's council, I mean, it's up to council what they wanna do, but also, it's my belief that, I mean, the sample size of 26 residents on her survey is not a big enough sample size for me to make any decisions, but it would be interesting to maybe get a larger sample size, just to see the overall feeling, but, I mean, again, that's up to council how they want to move forward in that, that's just kind of my opinion, I mean, no answer for what's going to happen tonight anyway, with everything that was said, so, I mean.
There's many people that don't have access to Facebook.
Yeah, well, and that's why I said, I mean.
Just by word of mouth, talking to people.
Word of mouth, or,
Is it
worth us creating some kind of mailer to send out and say, go to this, to every borough resident or household to say, go to this site?
My personal opinion is we need to take a vote. 4 of us in July said.
I understand, I'm just, yeah.
And I'm tired of her coming back.
Yeah, I mean, without
She did it in
making a
July.
motion to say stop, then things just continue on the way
Yeah,
they would,
exactly.
correct?
We need to
Is that
take-
is that
I understand, no,
I know, I'm just.
Right, so the
And
process
Mark
just
already showed
continues.
him the map.
The process just continues
Yeah.
unless there is a
Yeah.
motion or.
No, that's fine, I'm offering my 2 cents, I mean, I would,
And like Mike already showed him the
Yeah.
map.
Unless council directs the zoning officer to discontinue any type of legal action, he continues at his discretion to enforce the law.
Because, I mean, all she's gonna do is keep coming back. We told her in July, 4 of us said no chickens, and here she is into August again. It's
Okay.
time now, we either take a full vote and say, and they stop it, because she will keep coming back.
We don't have to vote.
Deb, she can come back every meeting regardless of what you vote. Yeah, she has the right
She's the right to
to,
speak on any issue.
anyone does, for however long they want to.
But I mean, even if we're there,
Yeah.
Department on this.
She can bring it
But
up
every
next
time, every
month.
time something's put on here, we don't take a vote
No, I'm
to change
just- I'm
the
just-
rules.
yeah.
We just
I just,
continue
like
as
I said,
rules, right?
no, I understand, I'm just, like I said, I'm all for, you know,
It's like anything else.
Anything else for zoning and code? All right, fire, I don't see anybody here from fire. All right, we'll go to regional parks and we will
Sam,
start.
one
Yeah.
thing about fire that I did want to mention, it was brought up a month or two ago about the situation in New Salem and the possibility of Sunrise Fire Company with contract in New Salem. At that point, that's been put on hold because of the issues with the fire engine and some other things that are going on that have turned the corner slightly toward a positive direction with that fire company. Yeah, I just want to let everybody know that.
Well, I seen somewhere where they went to North York now to get assistance.
That's
They
part of
started
what's happening.
discussions, but again, it's two double-edged things here. One is, do they continue with that, which they're still waiting to figure that out, as well as seeing what their own fire companies do.
Things were going great, and then they wrecked the engine on that fire door. It had some people hurt, so.
Very hurt, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, and nothing else about the fire company. Kayla, we'll go to you for the regional parks.
Yep.
Report as much as you want to do.
A few things to touch on. Tomorrow, I'm not sure if you all are aware, tomorrow from 5 p.m. to dusk is the Wonka movie night. If you can make it, it would really probably be nice to see both the Spring Grove Rec and the council kind of come together and meet each other and, you know, shake hands, whatever, just if you can. If you can't, that's totally fine. Food is gonna be provided by the firehouse, so they're gonna be doing theirs. They're gonna be doing food and the bathrooms are available in there. The Spring Grove Rec is gonna have activities for the kids. There's going to be a candy bar hunt for the trying to find the golden ticket that we're gonna set up. So it's gonna be really fun. So bring your grandkids, bring kids, bring your friends. It's not just for little kids, so bring your friends. So yeah, we want as much activity as we can around this because really this is kind of the first event. This is our set off. This is what we paid for. So we should be working towards making this happen. So love to see you guys there. I'll be there volunteering. Bill, I'm not sure. I was gonna say, don't want to speak out of turn for Bill here. And then there's a few other things, along that we can also go to later on in the year. There's the pumpkin trail that's gonna be happening at Little Creek Community Park. It's not unfortunately going to be happening on our rail trail, but who knows in the future? We're just working towards it. But I will tell you, we do have something to look forward to here at the Valley. It's the 5K hot chocolate run on the 23rd of November. At this point, that's where we're at, 9 a.m. start. And I don't know who wants to run with hot chocolate, but I think there's gonna be hot chocolate at the end. I don't think everyone's gonna do not take that literally. But a 5K run, or walk, whatever you choose to do. So, those are events that we're gonna have in town to bring up the community. We also have in the works, the playground, that was projected last year. It's been working, we've been working towards it. So the playground is, so far it's gonna be, we all know where the rail trail is, right? We know where the playground is proposed to be. That's gonna be owned by not the rail trail, but Parks, York Parks. So they're going to take it on, we're figuring it out. but having their sign on is probably going to get us a foot in the door. So DCNR is going to come out, on the 10th of October, as of right now, at, what is that, 1 PM, I think it was, in the email. If anybody wants to come out for that, make a note on your calendar. As you can see, there's a lot of kids. So we're thinking maybe in the next, year, possibly? You know,
Just
something,
keep working towards
we're
it.
working towards it, something like a year or two. So it's definitely in the run. So keep an eye out for that and any updates, but just wanted to let you guys know. All right, any questions for me?
What type of advertisement has been done for this movie night?
So we've been posting a lot on Facebook. So has York County, the Spring Grove Parks and Rec. Yes, they've been posting about it. I really, personally, I wish I would have seen something on the fire hall here, the little wording there. That would have been nice, because I'm sure, because that's where it's gonna be. It's gonna be right there. In that field, they're gonna set up the equipment, but other than that, I don't know if we've done too much other than word of mouth and speaking of it at these meetings. So it's definitely in the minutes. I've definitely been sharing it consistently online, and they've been sharing it on their page, and we've talked about it. So I'm not sure if they have it posted anywhere else.
No, I think Todd, did you support that with, getting that out also with the flyer?
Yep, so, and, Brandon did send out the mail too as well. He did that last week. So it's been mailed out to all the residents if they opened it. I mean, everyone's, whatever they do. Yep, so we've been definitely promoting it.
Yeah, and the other thing I have to
Yeah,
ask you, and you mentioned about what, tomorrow night is what we paid for to get the kickoff
Yeah.
and stuff. To complement that, what we also are paying for is Kate's hard work behind the scenes with working with the grants, getting DCNR, getting your county to come together to work with us on this playground. So, just don't want to let tomorrow night show only show what we're getting,
No.
paying for our buck with Springwood, but all the hard work she's doing in the background.
No, but it's
Working
having.
towards the plane grant.
Exactly, yeah. I think it's going to be, it's one of those where it's the appetizer to the whole thing. So it really, let's enjoy that appetizer. All right, that's what I got.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah,
Anything
thanks.
else for Parks and Rec, any questions? All right, thank you. Unfinished business.
Okay, yeah, we received an email, way back in January already, from a gentleman who's I think he's from Dover. And he started a couple years ago, I don't know what you want to call it, a movement for Kindness Week. And he's trying to make this a worldwide event. And actually, I saw Channel 8 News had a blurb on him about a week or two ago, and it was in the newspaper. So anyway, what he's asking for from every municipality in York County, since this is where he's from and this is where it got originated, is to have every municipality adopt this proclamation, which kind of explains what the program is. It's a lot of whereases and just recognizes the event, Kindness Week, effective November 9th through the 16th of 2024. And if council approves this, it would just be included in the minutes.
Any comments, questions?
So we should have a motion on that, so it's official to go in the minutes.
I make a motion to include it in our minutes.
I'll second that. Motion by Bill, second by Greg, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, any other old unfinished business? On here? All right, new business, Church Street curbs.
As you recall, I made council aware a couple of months ago that we did receive an additional grant of $130,000 from the Community Development Block Grant Program for the curb and sidewalk project between Main Street and Park Street on the south side. We already have one that's 105, I believe it is. So this is the second part of that grant. We just need council's action to authorize the secretary and the president to execute the contract with Borough County.
I'll make a motion to authorize.
Motion by Gary, second by Deb. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? York County Open Space.
That's
Yeah, that's, we had, I can't remember if we applied for that last year or not. Anyway, York County has, it's, open space, and it's also a Marcellus Shale grant program. I know we had, applied for some block grant money for updating our comprehensive plan, because it's decades old, which is the first step to updating the zoning ordinance, because that needs to be done before you go into zoning. My suggestion, because there's not too much else that we can do as far as bricks and mortar, that they do allocate some planning money. I believe it's only 40,000 countywide. To update our comp plan is right around $9,000-10,000. Typically, what they like to see is a match of 25% from the municipality. So we would be applying for 7,500, and then we would budget 2,500 next year. So it's up to council whether you want me to apply for that grant or not. It's through the end of this month.
Is there cost of applying for it?
No.
No cost of applying for it.
Is that different from the block grant program then?
Yes.
So we could go through the block grant program, or we can go through this?
Yeah, we applied through the block grant for the next 3-year cycle, and that was not awarded to us. So we already know we're not getting anything from that one.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the Marcellus Shale and the open space grant program is an annual, so we do that every year.
So if we would budget for $2,500 to get $7,500 more to have a total of 10,000, what would we project to spend that on?
Well, that'd be a whole rewrite of the comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel we need it?
Well, I know there's been a lot of talk about, updating and reviewing the zoning ordinance, so that's the first step that has to be done. But I can tell you another reason that, well, you don't, but, well, I'll tell you another reason why I think a comp plan is important. DCNR looks at that and a lot of other grant programs. They want to look at your comp plan to see if it's current. And what does your comp plan, and it's a plan, you look at what you have and what you'd like to see. And if you have a decades-old comp plan and you want money for parks or parkland or whatever, they're gonna look at your comp plan and,
See how interested you are.
yeah. So I think a comp plan, and the solicitor's correct, you don't necessarily need one to update zoning. If you're a large municipality, more active, you probably would want to go that route. But I do think it's really important for grants.
The comp plan is a very good document for historic information, current information. And it also, a lot of times you look at projections. I mean, I'll give you a great example. Redline's comp plan for years, of course, based a lot on the industry in the town. Well, the industry in the town has now mostly been converted to apartments. So that's something, when something dramatic like that happens in your municipality, you want to do something. It's like years ago, West York had the same situation. A lot of their major buildings were converted. And Todd's absolutely correct as far as the issue for grants. But I would say don't do it if you're looking at that as step one to a zoning ordinance upgrade. But for all the other reasons, you certainly want to consider it.
And the comp plans have really, they've taken a new direction from what they used to be. They used to be a lot of inventory, and this is what we have. But now they're really pushing what they call implementable. So at the end of it, they want you to set, they're not looking for a long list, but the goal is that you set, 3, 4, 5 goals that you would like to work toward. So.
Thoughts, questions?
Would that help possibly with our sewer grants, perhaps for sewer, with anything in the future too? I mean, having that.
Okay, let's, again, let's put this thing in perspective.
Yep.
The sewer authority owns the sewer lines.
I totally agree.
Okay, so if they go for a grant, we have the ability to piggyback that and say, because multi-municipal will be good. Todd can attest to one of the things we did in Glen Rock. We got a grant to increase the capacity of our sewer plant years ago because we were serving Shrewsbury Township as well as Glen Rock Borough. The township and the borough worked great together. That was part of the reason we got money nobody else did about 10, 15 years ago. So you have that here, but I just want to make sure that Southern Valley's Borough can't get money to improve the sewer system.
Okay.
We can help the township authority get it,
Well,
but we can't get it.
I guess what I'm.
I just want to make sure you understand.
Yeah, I guess that's what I want to leave to.
Unless there's an area that the borough wants to own the sewer line and get connected to the authority. Just making sure you make, I don't
Yeah,
want
no, I
to
understand, yeah, yeah, I'm
That
just,
helps with the piggyback for
Yes,
them to get.
yes.
the grant.
Possibly, no, it wouldn't hurt. I'll put it that way. I don't know if it'd be a big help, but it wouldn't hurt.
Motion for this comp plan?
If we want the secretary to put in for the grant money to look at our comp plan.
Yes, I'll make a motion for secretary to put in for comp plan.
Motion by Gary,
I'll second.
second by Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I'm sorry, I'll make 2,500 for budget.
Yeah, the next thing, the York County SPCA is holding virtual town hall meetings with municipal officials. And they're looking at some, I think, pretty significant changes in next year or two that could become very costly to the municipalities. But they're still doing research and gathering information. But I shared this with you as an email. I am registered to represent Seven Valleys as well as Shrewsbury on September 12th. But if anyone else wants to register and sit in, that's fine, but I will be registered. I did register for Seven Valleys, so thank you.
All right. Any other new business? Any other new business? Treasurer report.
One real quick.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I know I'm gonna just hand it for this one, I'm gonna go for it. We have not cleared up about these people who have 4 or 6 chickens or 12 chickens. And I got to thinking, is there any way possible that we could do it? I know when we outlawed our mailboxes in New Salem, we said, if you have a mailbox on this day, then you may continue to keep it until you move. Is there any way we could do that for these chickens? That we could say, since we have, say, I don't know, 3 or 4 families that have chickens, that they could keep those chickens, but they would have to be no roosters and only like 4 or 6 per property. And those would be the only people that would be allowed to have them until we would change, if we would change the rules. I know that's going outside of what we normally would do, but it is a way that these people would not have to get rid of their 20 chickens or how many other chickens. But no one else would be allowed to have them for a certain time until these people leave. These people leave, that property would not be allowed chickens again. I don't know if there's an easy way to do that, or if we just, as you have said, you have voted no chickens, we're not changing the zoning ordinance. I didn't know if there was any soft way that we could allow. I don't think we want to have 20 chickens and a rooster, and somebody else had a rooster. I don't think it was the same person. You know, maybe that's not what we want. We don't want roosters. So anyhow, I just wanted to put that up. We don't have to vote on it tonight, although Todd's in a predicament of what to do for the people who do have the chickens. But maybe we ought to think outside the box just a little bit for 3 families, no more. No more, because you voted, you're not gonna have chickens. So maybe you want to think about it until the next meeting. I don't know what Todd's going to do about this. That's up to the zoning officer to decide. You can bring it out to my house.
I guess the big concern I would have with that is, like, you have all these people that filled out the survey saying they want chickens, so now you're gonna tell them that some, you know what I mean, some people that have, if you already have them, you can keep them until you leave.
Do they want chickens, or were they just in favor of other people and
Have
the
some
chickens?
for the chicken.
That's a very small percentage, but it's
I
only
guess-
14 said they wanted chickens, that's a very small percentage.
But again,
That's not.
do they actually want to go out and get chickens, or did they just say they're in favor of people having chickens? This one lady says she doesn't want chickens. She thinks other people should have, but she doesn't want them. Just something to think about.
I mean, it's tough because you know there's gonna be people like them that are gonna care for them, take care of them, but then you got other people that, I know somebody that was already here that didn't have them, get rid of them, and you don't take care of their property, so it's.
Right, well, and I thought about that, and I respect what you say, believe me, but the other part is, the only reason you have laws is not everybody does follow them. People let their dogs out and run wild, people let their dogs go and poop on other people's property and don't clean up, so it's always, and people do things that they shouldn't do. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any laws in the United States. If you're, not everybody goes out and shoots people, but some people do, so you have to say that's wrong.
All right, now, we'll open back up at the end.
We'll come back, they'll
We'll
come back.
We'll open back up.
So I just thought maybe we should think on this a little bit, rather than just say we thought about it before. That's just my opinion. I'm personally not for chickens. We had them when our kids were little. We have enough property. But, it just isn't something that people need to do. And I understand, I'm hearing you. But, anyway.
But Cheryl,
Just
I have
putting
a
that out
question. You're saying let them keep their chickens. Now, what happens if they, not that they would, but let's say they go tell a neighbor, hey, guess what? I have 6 chickens, I got to keep mine. Then now people are gonna say, why can't I have 6 chickens? You know what I'm.
Right, well, that's the way it was with the mailboxes in New
No,
Salem.
not really. The mailboxes were legal until we passed the ordinance that said they weren't, and we allowed everybody who had them prior to that to keep them
But it was
until we
legal.
moved. It was legal. Yes,
So they were
yes.
grandfathered.
Yeah,
Well, this was
that's a different situation.
And I agree with that, and, like I say, you can bring them down to my house. We have plenty of room.
All right, treasurer's report.
I have just one comment from last month. I went back for the check that we were holding for H&H for Oak Alley, or Oak Street for the paving of $7,458. I put the wrong description in. That actually was for curb and Maple Street line painting. Oak Street is not going to be paved until the week of September 23rd. And then they're going to do the Union Church Road base repairs as well at the same time. So I did make that correction last month's report.
Did you notice some of that paint is coming off already on the curb? I didn't take, as soon as you turn up here on Church Street on the left, there's like really was peeling off. Because they really didn't do nothing to get the loose paint off that was there before they just went straight over.
Gold dress back?
Yeah. I'll make a note of that and call.
They're all that work figuring out what paint they use.
Yeah. That's for sure.
All right, has everybody had a chance to, look over the treasurer's report? Is there any questions? Corrections? No. Not, I'll take a motion for the secretary to approve, accept, and file statement for audit and authorize the treasurer to pay any regular bills until next month. Motion by Greg Conner, second by Greg Wallace. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And that's all including that. So we'll go to the secretary's report.
Yeah, just, York County Rivers Association will be holding their quarterly dinner meeting on September 26th. So anyone that's interested in attending, let me know. And I'll get that reservation in. It's going to be in Red Lion. I do have 2 other quick things here.
Yep.
Just WellSpan sends an email every month, giving some update on the number of calls that they responded to in 7 Borough. For the month of July, they had 6 calls in the borough. In the month of August, they had 9 calls in the borough. And then the last thing I have is the PSAB Fall Leadership Conference. Last month, we talked about, sure we'll be going as a PSAB Board of Directors, and it's no cost to the borough. Doug had wanted still.
Well, so actually, I was gonna bring it up. Cheryl actually had a free attendee event for me.
I won it.
She won it at one of the last ones. So at this time, now my work has changed a little bit, so I'll try to narrow that down in the next week here to make sure I can attend, but I would still like to attend. So that would get the borough off the hook for the fee of the pay. I mean, I would be interested in maybe booking a hotel room Saturday night. I know it's Lancaster, I know it's close by, but I do feel like the Hershey one, I missed some stuff by not staying at least the one night. So there would possibly be a fee that the borough, I'd be happy if the borough would reimburse that. But again, I mean, if that's not, I do have some family in Lancaster too. I mean, we stay with outside Lancaster. Wouldn't have to come across the river.
And if Doug's not able to use it, you were planning to go, then you could use it.
I'm going to commute just because I have other obligations. But I understand with Doug, having been to many Borough Association, Township Association conventions, it's really about the networking and talking to other people in other municipalities.
So being that
a lot
you're
of
not
that
sure if
takes
you're
place.
going,
I will know
and come back for reimbursement if you do go?
I mean,
Instead of having a motion made?
I can do that, yeah, if the borough would reimburse me if I spend the night, I mean, I have no problem paying it out of pocket first.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
because we have to register this month.
Well, that's what, I'm definitely, yeah, I mean, that's what I wanna find out first, and I mean,
What's clear? What do we need for approval, just
I think the council already approved paying his hotel.
I don't know, I don't know if they approved anything, anyway, I mean, I have no problem submitting reimbursement for what I mean, okay.
Anybody object to paying for the hotel for leadership conference?
Then I'll just submit reimbursement, that's fine.
And that's all I have.
Mayor's report. You covered it, other than that, I mean, everybody let me know, it'd be nice to make a presence known tomorrow, for some of these events. Again, I would urge the borough members to attend Boroughs Association meetings as Todd and everybody has said, it's not, you really realize we're not the only borough that are having the problems of the borough. The more boroughs we talk to and I talk to, no matter the size, we all are facing the same issues, whether it's budget, whether it's, changes, whether it's this or that. It is very, it's enlightening to find we're not alone and how other places are handling those situations. And again, I reinstate that, we are here for the residents, yes, we have our opinions. I'm the first to say that I truly, in my true need, I don't care what you do on your own property, but I care more about your neighbor. And that's what the borough ordinances and zoning, I believe, are for. However you want to live on your own property, that is up to you. That is how you live, but it's not fair to your neighbor. So I will leave it at that. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Anything from the mayor?
I do have another thing. I think the last meeting I was at, you talked about that I was going to the board member of PSAB, and that I would talk to people about the fireworks situation. And I did. And Todd, did you get that email that I sent you?
Yeah.
Do you?
And I forwarded it to the solicitor. I know he's going to at some point.
Okay, but basically, I had talked to Ron Goodson, who is in charge of the lobbying arm of the Boroughs Association, and who does the resolutions and works with the legislature to try to get our whatever, our concerns,
yeah.
thank you, put forward. And he said that it will be virtually impossible for them to recall that legislation, that they had, I don't have the papers in front of me because I sent them to Todd, but that they had updated the ordinance in, I guess it was 2023. And at that point, they figured that was it. They were not going to touch it again. But what I did talk to several people who had made changes. And one, because now it has made, the latest change says that local governments can do some type of banning of consumer grade fireworks. Normally that would be done because you would have a police force that would be able to enforce it. Well, Seven Valleys does not have a police force that would do that. And we're not going to have our code enforcement officer going out on the 4th of July and doing, citing people. But that it would be possible. What they have done is they had the code enforcement take complaints from people who are willing to testify that their neighbor put off fireworks, and he would then send something to them, a code enforcement letter to them. And the mayor in that particular borough, they had signs put up at the entrance to the borough that said no consumer grade fireworks are allowed in this borough. So that people were warned. It went out in newsletters. It went out in all the other part it went out in is that people that they knew had done this last year. The mayor went and talked to them and said, we're not going to allow this year. Please remember that and don't shoot any off because it would be banned and you were going to get fined. And then what they also did was that they got donations from people in the town. Now, they don't have as many, they're small businesses. The one I'm talking about right now is York Springs, and they're very small. But they got enough contributions that the fire company set off fireworks into the township, the neighboring township, which I was thinking here we could maybe do it and shoot it off on the fire company's property out onto the ball field in that area, out onto the water. So that was what they did, and they did not have one incident the following year. And then there are other ordinance samples that you can ban certain things, and mostly it was saying that you could not do it, say, in the borough of Seven Valleys, because most properties are too small. You have to be 150 feet away from a vehicle or any structure, not even a house, so that it really wouldn't be very many in the borough. It would only be those farm properties, maybe out on Maple Street someplace, but then that would be going down to the rail trail. I don't think you want to do that. So anyhow, I did look into it. I got a lot of information, and I sent it to Todd, and as he said, he has forwarded it to Mike to look at to see if there's anything that the borough could do.
Sam did an evaluation of that yesterday. We're going to bring it up because it wasn't on the agenda. But if you want to talk about it, we can. If you want to do it next month, it's up to you. That's up to Zach. If we want to talk about it now, if we want to put it on the agenda for next month.
Do you want to maybe wait till next month and I'll forward the emails with all the other sample ordinances so you have a chance to look at it?
But your basic evaluation was we can't do it here because we have too many properties that are too big.
Yeah. Unfortunately, if you just want me to give a quick synopsis, I looked into the act that you stated, and very specifically in section 1106, it states the rules and regulations which a municipality can restrict for consumer fireworks. Essentially, there has to be absolutely nowhere in this borough that someone can legally set off a consumer firework to ban it within the borough entirety. So if there is one property that can set it off legally, it can't be banned in the entire borough.
Can it be banned in the zone?
No,
Like in the village
it just
zone?
says municipality. We could try it. Do I know it would stand up in court? It says very clearly municipality, not municipal zone. The things that I did see that we could do, you can require permits for someone to set off consumer fireworks. This doesn't include grounders. Anything that's on the ground is not considered a consumer firework. It's considered exempt. Sparklers, same thing, completely exempt. Permits, I see enforceability being a big issue because that's going to be on your zone code enforcement officer to go out and check to see did that person have a permit. The other thing you can do, you can limit the hours for them to be set off. Those hours are also regulated by the same act to what you can regulate. The most strict that we could be, you may not limit at all on Memorial Day, including the Saturday and Sunday before it, or Labor Day, including the Saturday and Sunday before it, i.e. 12:01 Saturday through 11:59 Memorial Day, people can set off fireworks 24/7, you can't do anything about it. On July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and December 31st, they can set off fireworks till 1 a.m. Anything after that, you can restrict. If July 4th is a Tuesday, Wednesday, or a Thursday, the immediately preceding Friday and Saturday, as well as the following Friday and Saturday, cannot be restricted after up till late.
And all this is still being enforced by the same person.
Yes.
So,
Yep. And then everywhere else, any other time, 10 p.m. to 10 a.m., that's all, you can't restrict the opposite. So anybody can set them off from 10:01 a.m. to 9:59 p.m. And that's the most strict and stringent that this act permits municipalities to ban. I do want to point out too, all the municipalities that did ban fireworks, they're already against state law and these people are doing it anyway. So they're then getting potentially the state fine and the municipal fine, but it's still already 100% against the law.
That's being done for competent jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Because as we well know, state police don't enforce our ordinances. If we do an ordinance, we could have our local code officer file citations.
So I can also forward my synopsis to Todd to send around with all of this for your review for next month. But essentially, like I said, from what I'm seeing, we can't ban it within the borough.
Can I ask you something, Sam?
Yeah.
Because all our houses aren't 150 feet from each other, you still.
no, it's not all of them.
It's
there's-
still a violation of state law.
Yes.
But we can't make it a violation of our ordinance.
Disappointing news, I know.
Just wanted you to know that I did follow up on that.
Thank you.
All right. Still 3 minutes. The report, I believe, any comments on the monthly report from the sewer? I know Mike commented on some things.
The only thing, 2 things to point out, there is some discussion in there about repairs to the Seven Valleys pump station. And we did mention last month, remember, the minutes we get are a month and a half behind. So these were the July minutes. It does confirm what we said at the August meeting about the approval to transfer the EDUs to the Valley Tavern. We brought it up that we knew it happened in July, but now you have it in writing for the minutes. Those were the only things that I saw other than what we discussed earlier.
Anyone else to say? Mike? Greg?
Real quick. I do this every year. September is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. If you see purple lights out and about around the town, that is an individual that is standing in unison with those that have dealt with suicide or is a home that you can go to ask for help. Suicide affects the community. It doesn't just affect one person. I know Dover's being rocked by it right now. They just went through recently in the last month, I believe, 2 children's suicides. It's okay not to be okay, just reach out. Nobody wants to see somebody gone from this earth if there's anything that anybody can do to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to agree with Cheryl down here with her idea about the chickens, that they already have them, and no one really complained about them until it was brought up in July meeting. So, just my 2 cents. If we can do something, to maybe help them out, it'd be great. That's all.
Sure.
I'm done.
Mike Runkle talked to me about, next Friday, there's a group gonna meet over at Hanover Junction from out of Harrisburg. They're gonna come down, they're gonna, whatever it's gonna include, I don't know. They're doing a survey, stream survey. They did talk about it already with the trail towns and the stream access. They're just gonna look at this portion of the creek from Hanover Junction down through here, I'm gonna try to make it over that, just, even if it's just for introduction things and see what they're gonna do, because right now it's not a really good time to kind of look at the creek. Things are growed up, but they may, I don't know what they might touch on, but I'm glad Mike brought that to my attention and get off work for a little bit and go down and visit that. Other than that, I don't have anything.
Art? Greg?
I don't know if anybody else seen this, but I've seen something from North Cadorus that they had the Maple Street Bridge scheduled for replacement on the 24-25 calendar. Something in the way. Yeah, I just seen that recently, like within the last week.
We
I
haven't
thought
see it.
they were gonna do
I
that.
don't know if it was on North Cadorus's page or it was on something to do with North Cadorus. I can't remember which one it was. But it was listed on there as, it said Maple Street, so I called by knowing that Maple Street Bridge is in North Cadorus Town. And it would affect us drastically with that. This is North Cadorus.
The township, Ziegler's want this president.
Yeah, so if city if it's on the 24-25, it could affect the borough if that is indeed happening. That's also correct, so just put that out there. And also, when we put the process for streetlights that are out.
If you just let me know, and if you have the 10,
I did write that down. It's the one at Oaken Park.
okay.
And it is 27572 -19162. Right, I'll report that. All right, thank you. That's it.
I kind of agree with Cheryl. They already have the chickens, okay? I hate to see them give them up and whatever, but I'm saying I'm totally against. I've talked to enough people that said they do not want the chickens, just like that gentleman over there, okay? And they have them, keep them, but then we should never allow anybody else to ever put chickens in this borough.
Well, I think it still presents a problem though, because we have these people over here who have 20 chickens and a rooster. And, you know, that's entirely. And a turkey. You know, that's too many for what we would probably allow. You know, we're saying maybe 4 or 6, not 20 and a rooster. So if that's present a problem for Todd, I don't know what he's gonna do.
But I agree with you.
What are you gonna do?
Once they move, that, nobody can move back into that house and say, we want chickens. No. And I also agree with Doug over here, okay? You need to respect your people's property. I see a lot of things, okay, that I have neighbors that we really try to take care of our property, and you've got somebody over here that doesn't give a crap, okay? I see it, okay? I'm sure he sees it. And it's nice that everybody would take care of their properties, but yes, with the chickens, they already have them, but after they move, no more. I'm sorry, because I've talked to enough people that approached me and so forth and said, they do not want chickens in this borough. We don't have enough land to have chickens. Then they should.
Hearsay is admissible in court of law.
Hold on, we're going back up in a minute.
You know, and I agree with that. I mean, I've got a big land, I've got a lot of land up in that, I mean, Zach and them know that. And you would never see me say, oh, by the way, I want to put 2 pigs back there and I want to put a goat back there. Would never do it because I would be considerate of my neighbors. I would never do that to none of my neighbors.
But
And I
there
can
are
do it.
people who will.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there are people, but I would never do it because I would respect
It's
my
hard.
neighbors. That's it.
I'm glad I'm not the same.
I think as we listen to the community tonight, with the pros and cons on the chicken issue. And we have some ideas for some concessions. I think we need to think about, as we revisited 2 months ago, and sitting in Zach's seat when he was absent, I asked the ordinance committee if they wanted to review this ordinance. At that time, all four said they're not interested in moving forward. But if we have a concession and we're looking at Todd and saying, what, we don't know what he's gonna do, I think he should do his job. I think he should do his job until we guide him differently. So I think it's up to us to step up, the ordinance committee, and if we're gonna make concessions, is guide him a little bit better and look at the ordinance, if that's what we're thinking of doing.
Or if it really is a legal problem, if we would give concessions, Mike, to people that have them now, I mean, how can you do that when one has 20, one has 6?
Well, you get into the issue of selective enforcement, and that has always concerned me in municipalities. And again, as we differentiated with the situation in Lucille and mailboxes, they are illegal. Todd has done his job, and he has the discretion to continue to do it unless council directs him that he is not supposed to move forward in enforcement. And it better be for a legitimate reason, because otherwise I can't go to court and say we left 3 people have them, and then by next month you have 10 more, and we try to say no. You can't do that.
I kind of agree.
The law has got to apply equally to everyone. It's the only way it works.
Is there a way to do a trial period? Or, I mean, if the ordinance committee would meet and set up these are the standards, I mean, any ordinance, I mean, as the mayor, I would sign or not, so I think input, my input on that, if the council will move forward, go forward, of course, there has to be guidelines, there has to be setbacks. I believe the property owner, I mean, we have a lot of renters in this borough, so the property owner actually needs to approve if they choose to let their tenants have on their property, because the tenant is not responsible necessarily for the property in the long run. It's the property owner. Can there be setbacks? Can there be, is it a complaint-based only enforcement ordinance? It's not necessarily something that the code enforcement officer is looking for, but if he gets complaints from, and we know 98% of our zoning problems are complaint-based from borough residents. We're not looking for problems. Of course, if they're visible, yes, he's doing his job as directed. And we all know in the past, our past zoning officers did not do their job. They were too wishy-washy on the fence, and I believe Borough Council made the decision that if we're gonna have it, it's gotta be, and like Mike said, it's got to be enforced fairly and equally across the board. You cannot have multiple sets of rules. So I think there is some ways that you could look at it. If the ordinance committee would look at it, and set stipulations. And like I said, if it's a 1 year, we revisit it in 1 year, and whether we, at that time, spend the money to, enact an ordinance that, repeals that ordinance, we might see, where initially, 10 property owners, and those property owners that want chickens should have to be noted, and we should have to know whether that's an application process. I'm not saying there should be a fee involved, but again, if it comes to enforcement, there is money that the entire borough is paying out to have enforcement done. So it's not necessarily fair to me or anybody else that chooses not to have chickens or what have you, so, maybe there needs to be a financial upfront to at least entice those people that choose to have them, keep them a little more accountable. I find that, a free-for-all and no backbone tends to lead to everybody, but when they have a little, skin in the game, I guess you could say, it might entice them to, take care of them. I'm not saying, I'm sure everybody that would have chickens would probably take care of them because of those reasons. But again, unfortunately, we have to look at a lot of the borough ordinances that have been created. A lot of rules are created just because to correct something that's happened. So, I mean, I think if the ordinance committee would craft something, I think there's, setbacks, I think there's limits, I think there's, permission, whether they're renters or actual property owners. I mean, so it is something to look at. There is something that we could say, this is a year trial period, and we'll revisit it at that time, and see where we're at, Initially, if we have 10 or 15, we find in a year, well, now only 3 people have them. Because we'll have a list of names, so what, in a year we can say, do you have chickens? I don't know, it's something the ordinance is gonna work out.
So for the amount of people that have reached out to me, and I like to run the meeting, I don't like to voice my opinion or echo a lot. Is for the amount of people that have reached out to me, nobody is for the chickens. Now, I wish those people would take that survey.
Yep, no, I agree.
Because I think that survey would be the other way. And a lot, I don't know who votes for who or what, but those people come to me, they know I'm on council. Council put me here, but the people put me on council. Those people are saying they don't want chickens. That's where I'm standing with the chickens right now. But I wish we could do a bigger survey and just blow, just see.
I agree. I don't think the sample size of that survey is good enough either. I totally agree with that 100%. That's only 5.
And my next thing is there's somebody here tonight that was knew they weren't supposed to have chickens. They went and got them since they knew that.
Yeah.
So what's going to stop until you change something that 50 people go and get chickens and they have them on the property?
I agree.
So it's got to be. I think it's got to be one way or the other. Period. Not this person's grandfather in.
I didn't say anything about grandfather and anybody in, but I'm just offering. I think there's options out there. I choose. In reality, I wouldn't have chickens. I don't want them. I don't want them anywhere near me. Just in my personal. But again, everybody makes their own choice.
I mean, I'm with Zach. I had people contact me. I seen people with the
I agree. No.
I had neighbors, and they said they did not want chicken. They did the same thing about the coyotes. I even talked to somebody that said the hunt boys used to shoot groundhogs, and they don't even shoot them anymore because the coyotes are getting them all. I know somebody that lives off of the Grandfather Station Road. They got their cats. No, we don't need chickens.
No, that's fine.
I had people come tell me, no chickens.
Hearsay is a mystery.
We're going to open back up. We might open back up.
Make those decisions. I'm offering my 2 cents on my view, in the long run of things, I'm neither really for or against, I know what I choose personally, but again, I do agree, I think it would be interesting to get a larger sample size before we would do anything.
All right.
Anyway.
Can I make just a few remarks? First of all, you can't temporarily say you can do it and then tell somebody later they can't.
Yeah.
That doesn't work. Process-wise, again, you have a violation. Now, we had a situation in Redline with some zoning violations concerning signs. And once the zoning hearing was over and everything was upheld, the Borough Council, which is the governing body, just like here, said, even though the zoning board said that the zoning officer correctly interpreted the ordinance, we kind of can understand why the people wanted what they wanted. So we agreed to put enforcement on hold while we looked at amending the zoning ordinance. Amendments to a zoning ordinance, which is what you have to do here. Yes, you can have your ordinance committee look at it, but amendments to a zoning ordinance are legally required to originate with your planning commission. So once your ordinance committee makes a decision, we technically have to get it started through the $7 planning commission, get draft documents done, then have the Borough Council approve it, send it to your county planning commission for recommendation, and then ultimately hold a public hearing. The process takes 4 to 6 months. That's the quickest we can do it. Our rewriting Redline, we're over a year in the planning commission meeting, sometimes twice a month, to try to get everything done. That's the process. And until then, again, the zoning officer has the discretion to enforce the law that he's enforcing within the municipality. What about permits?
All right, open back up here to public comment.
So I just wanted to say that I was really good, Andy Crossing and 18 Cherry Street. Really nervous, never done this, I haven't been here, I came once. I just wanted to make clear that I didn't break the rules on purpose. That's what I tried to say earlier, is that I looked, I didn't see anything that said I couldn't do it. So I wasn't trying to break the rules, I don't know if you were referring to me or not, but I didn't.
Don't like referring to anybody.
When you said something was your chickens that did it on purpose, that they knew they couldn't, I didn't. It was very confusing. I didn't do it on purpose to spite someone. There's a guy up the street who had chickens, so I was like, it's gotta be okay, it's gotta be okay. I really appreciate you guys for at least considering, just the impact, making a change. These ordinances haven't been changed in 25 years, because as he said, it's hard. Just because it's hard. A lot has changed in 25 years. These haven't been touched since 1999. A lot has changed. The demographic of who lives here, these guys, I'm sure, how long have you lived here?
All my life.
Exactly.
73 years.
I've only got about 6 years in. But it's changing, the demographic, the people. I don't understand why this makes you so angry, because I don't know what you've been through. I know for me, I know you guys argue with Jessica up here, she's a real strong mind. I'm not her. I'm not here to beat anybody up. I'm not here to make anybody mad. I'm just pleading to keep something that has enriched my family's life, that I didn't know I was not supposed to have. And I understand if I can't, and I will follow those rules. Todd was amazing when he came by and we talked. It's gonna give me a little bit of time to try and convince you guys to revisit this. I absolutely think it should be controlled, and I understand that that takes time and money and resources that we probably don't have. I'm just asking you to consider it. Please consider a trial run, an ordinance that will be revisited in a year or 2 years, and, anything, I don't know, anything. I would literally do anything to feel like so. I just wanted to clear up, I did not break rules on purpose. I didn't know that they were there. And to ask you to consider, we don't have a noise ordinance, as far as.
We do have a noise ordinance.
I'll tell you that, because you do, we have the bar, we have the fireworks, we have dog parks, and nobody seems to be able to do anything about it, so I couldn't find one. But anyway, there are quite a few ordinances that probably could be updated. This one just hit close to my heart, and just like you talk to people and you talk to people, I brought a bunch of people that, support me, maybe not want them themselves, but support the idea that it is good. We all know different people. So I wish there was a way we could just lock the whole township in and make them all vote like we do, right? But it doesn't work that way. It's up to you guys to make the best vote for the people, not just for the people you choose to make things for, So thank you. I really didn't mean to call you out. I love you. I'm so sorry. I thought I was nervous. Thank you, guys.
Jerome Chilton from Cherry Street. I'm not a talker. I'm more for action. My wife needs something done. But something makes her happy. Makes her happy. We got chickens. The kids are happy. We checked with our neighbors, both sides, a couple houses down, backside, everybody was on board. No one has a problem, no complaints. They come to me with complaints. I haven't had any complaints. I work 5-6 days a week, like most people here, right? When someone complains, I take care of it. That's what I do for my family. I have a motorcycle. I don't know if you guys know about it. I'm sure you've heard it. It's way more annoying than these chickens. Right?
It is.
Yes, it is. No offense, I'm sorry.
People think it's cool. Same thing with the chickens. People think it's cool. Like guarantee there are people in this borough that don't like motorcycles. They haven't said anything. They might. There's also not an ordinance saying I can't have it that way. That's all I have.
John, even 96 Church Street. We had a chicken for something late in life tonight. I didn't really enjoy that, but the problem I think we're looking here tonight is, I know these folks who have chickens and they like the chickens, that's great, that's fine. Our space in this borough just isn't enough space for it. And I look on Wikipedia, and here's some of the concerns about chickens, about backyard chickens. One is health. I wouldn't want my child hugging a chicken or you know, even being whatever. I'm not saying if it's right or wrong, we shouldn't do it, but it could be immune system problems with chickens, with humans. Noise problem number 2. Number 3 could be odor. Number 4 can bring in, I wouldn't bring in coyotes, can bring in rats, mice, pests, raccoons, foxes. And a big one here, it can really destroy property value. If you get a lot of it in one area, it can really destroy value of property. So, I don't want chicken beside my house.
Katie McGinnis, 9 Cherry Street.
I just wanted to say, you know, within your neighbors, I understand no one wants it in the borough. But if you live on the east end of the borough, is it going to affect you on the west end of the borough? Is that going to affect your house? If somebody is actually doing what they're supposed to and taking care of these chickens, keeping them clean, they're not making a noise, they're not running to the neighbor's house and causing anything. You know, rodents aren't on the rise because of them. Is that because of them? You're
All
not up
right,
here.
all right, we're gonna shut it down if that's how it's gonna go. And we're not doing that in a public meeting. We're not trying to ask about.
Then they need to mind their business for a minute and let people talk.
Okay, that's why you're standing there.
So why is it gonna bother someone on your side of town when you don't even have an eye on that side? You walk down the street, you wouldn't know that they were there. There are children in town that love them. I just took a photo of my daughter this morning sitting on a trampoline holding one of the chickens, beaming with joy. You know, yes, that's my child. I feel a certain way about that, just as Mandy and Jerome would feel a certain way about their children with their pet. But in my personal eye, what I see is someone trying to control someone and tell them that they can't do something that they're enjoying.
Or how about the
Thank
fact-
you, thank you.
Or how about the fact, they had chickens for 3 years. Not one of you even knew about it.
Thank you. Next. All right.
Oh, mine's not about chickens. Either way, Sean Steiner, 59 Main Street. Everybody knows where I live. I live on the corner. Here's the issue is, I bought my property like 6 years ago, and ever since then, I've done nothing but thousands of dollars worth of improvements to the house to bring it much nicer than it was when I first bought it. And for some reason, Todd has a vendetta against me, and he's just constantly nitpicking. Anyways, just hold on if you want to talk to me. Yeah. But regardless, there's a couple things. It's not only just harassments, emails, harassments. Yeah, when you said like the shed's probably illegal, the expansion of the parking lot's illegal. Where are they? Because this has now been a year, maybe a year and a half, and what the neighbor across the street just expanded their parking lot. See what I'm saying? Like, you have like some kind of weird vendetta, probably because I ran for Seven Valley Council on the fact of firing you from zoning officer. So I don't know where the personal vendetta is against me, but you drive past my property and you're taking photos. Like, just leave me alone. I'm a business owner and I have 5-star reviews. I'm not even a piece of, I'm not even, I was gonna use some language, but I'm a good business owner. I'm a good neighbor. The cops won't come to my house. I kicked out the tenants that were causing issues. The tenants that were there had dog kennels, motorcycles, painted lawn seats in the yard. I got rid of them. My property is very, very nice. I just said to the judge, it's immaculate. Is it immaculate or is there rubbish everywhere? That's what I'm saying. See, imagine while you're at work, you're pulling up your cameras and you see a constable banging on your door to deliver you more papers. Do you enjoy this? I'm just curious.
If I recall, we were before the district judge twice.
We've been there a couple times, all because of you. I never was there with like Jeff.
Am I speaking now?
I don't know. I didn't really ask you to speak, but I'll let you speak.
Then you asked me a
No,
question.
not really, but go ahead.
This is the problem, Sean.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
I think you heard it from Mandy. You weren't here earlier. I deal with a lot of people with zoning issues.
Mm-hmm.
They call me, they talk to me, we have conversations, we work through the process of getting issues resolved before we have to end up going to court. Every council member sitting here and many in the audience have heard you say you refuse to talk to me. So you're putting yourself in these positions, not me. I am doing the enforcement.
You have my email and you have my phone number, so you never reached out. You reached out.
When I send a violation notice, it has my contact information. If you have questions,
I've emailed you. You're lethargic and you're
well, I don't know what to tell you.
The first time I emailed you, you were completely rude. When you continued to get my property wrong and sending me snow removal fees, and I claimed that that's not mine, and you're like, well, you're gonna pay them or you're gonna go to court. Whoa, I'm a grown-ass man that shovels his own sidewalk. Where is somebody coming in, and it was 59 Church Street. I don't live on Church Street.
No,
you were wrong multiple times.
I had 5759 Church Street.
Wrong,
There
which
is
is the
no
wrong address.
57/59 Church.
Okay, well, it's the wrong address regardless. You didn't have any proof of the photos, but we're not even past there. So anyway, they said, okay, he's one of these type of people. I'm gonna pay the $100 and we'll be done. So I did that. I said, okay, that'll get him off my back and we'll be good. Nope, more stuff. 2x4s on my front porch. Hey, Jeff, go talk to him, make sure he's not doing anything he shouldn't be doing. That's exactly what it was. Jeff comes in, I don't even want to be here. I'm just here because I have to be. Okay, and you're ultimately the reason he quit. Pretend like it's not or whatever. Either way, so then he took over as, I guess, temporary, but he's still here. Here's the issue. Todd doesn't like me. I don't like him probably equally or even more. So regardless, imagine you mow your grass, you're improving your property, you're doing everything you should, you're a good neighbor, everything's good, you keep doing rubbish too. What is rubbish? It's not trash. If there's stuff in my driveway, I'm allowed to have stuff in the driveway. The Styles have stuff in their driveway. Everybody has stuff in their driveway. Sometimes you don't have a shed that's big enough. We don't have garages. We can put stuff in our shed, in our yards. It's not rubbish. It's stuff.
Well, let me jump in here, Sean. I can see the issues. I try to be objective. Judge Riley disagreed with me.
Judge, he had a really poor attitude.
Well,
he barely sat in his seat straight. He didn't even sit. He didn't even sit in his street. He didn't sit in his seat straight. He literally came in with an attitude and sat there like I have better things to do. And then was like, all right, we done? Okay, we're done. Yeah, it wasn't fair.
What did I say at that hearing? I'd rather have compliance than money.
That's what you're in
compliance. You're not going to be cited.
What's there to comply?
He has to make that decision, or the judge has to
Right,
make
so when you have a
decision.
person that's completely biased against you already,
Well, then you go to a court.
from
You're
my
supposed
back,
to be
from my
objective.
yard, I can see violations all over, but he doesn't touch them. I don't care, because it's not my yard, right? But you have neighbors that have tires and printers along their foundations for years.
Okay.
And he doesn't do nothing about it.
We have court systems to
Right.
resolve disputes.
So the photo that he took when in court, if he would have just stood at the same spot and looked 5 feet over, he would have saw the tire and the printer and the garbage, the real rubbish That's what I'm saying. See, it's a nitpicking thing.
All-
I'm not here to
all I'm
argue
telling
the
you
actual,
is,
the actual.
I don't want to take you to court. I don't want to go to court with anybody.
Nobody
in this
wants to
borough.
go. Nobody wants to go. It's not
You
hard.
just get in compliance.
There's no compliance to be, there's no compliance. There's nothing, they're fabricated anyways. It's not rubbish.
The judge said it was.
Okay,
Did he or did he not?
Well, it
agree
looks like
with
we're
the
gonna
borough?
go again.
Well, unless you're in compliance.
Okay, so I'm fine with that. I don't really care. I'm just saying that maybe consider getting a new zoning officer, because clearly he has issues. I'm driving through Shrewsbury and I pass him. I'm going 45 and I pass him. Then he's no longer in my rearview mirror, and then all of a sudden he's tailgating me into Shrewsbury. What,
Talk about that. I heard something about that.
like, that's what I'm saying.
Sean,
Yeah,
how
okay,
you
yeah.
have the courage to stand there and bold-faced lie
Okay.
is despicable.
I know, it's terrible.
I don't know how you
I made the
feel
whole
proud
thing
of
up. Yep, I didn't see you at all pulling out of that municipality building.
I would
But anyways,
ask council
regardless.
to bring this to an end because this is ridiculous.
Okay, well anyways,
False allegation.
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's good. So anyways, also, I'd like to bring up the point where we got our mailboxes in order. Once again, being a nice neighbor, knowing that I have all the tools, I contacted all 4 of my neighbors and said, hey, do you need mailboxes put up, whatever? So they said, yeah, we don't have tools. Can you do that for us? Great, I'm gonna have no problem. I went out and personally bought all the mailboxes and the wood and put it up. So what I do? So then I remember being here and said, how do we get permission on how to drill into people's concrete? So I goes, you ask the guy. Okay, so they said, no, where do you go? Go to the next neighbor. So anyways, I said, well, I'm not gonna get a hold of the guy who owns the organ place. So I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna drill into the concrete and I'm gonna put that flower pot around there. So maybe he doesn't get angry and it's in compliance. Once again, it sends actually all 4 of us once again, another civil action, about fixing the mailbox. And I'm like, it's secure, it's good. So then he, once it's secured, it's always been secured, and then all of a sudden he realizes it's a mistake, writes to Tom Riley that Sean has fixed the issue. I never touched the mailbox after I put it up. You were wrong. See what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're nitpicking. So now the new neighbors across the street, their mailbox is in a bucket. What are you gonna do about it? Alright. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm just asking politely, if I could just be left alone by the zoning officer. It's not, there's no compliance that needs to be done. My yard is fine. It's good. Every year I put even more money into the place. I renovate the inside, I renovate the outside. It's fine. There's yards out there that need attention. Go talk to them. You can't make a full-time job out of a borough that has 5 to 6 streets.
Let's face the main issue at hand here.
That's the issue.
Is you're operating a business.
Oh, we'll
without
talk about that too.
special
So then,
exception.
right, operating business on a house. So I'm not even operating a business on a house. There's none of the material at my house, but it's besides the point. But then, at the same point, the person that you did business with through the borough to make a website runs a business out of her house, yet she literally was standing here and said, I don't have a permit for my business. You know it, you everything. We're back to selective. Yeah, selective, yeah, that's what it is. So anyways, I just, yeah, see, it's that one. That's what I'm saying.
This is a perfect example of why things can't be resolved out of the courtroom, because Mr. Snyder is not willing to sit down and have a civil conversation.
That's not true at all.
But anyways, and he has refused to do that.
Yeah, all I'm asking is, maybe someone, this is why I can't talk to him, because it's literally just right back at me. So he can always turn it to flip it to look like I'm the issue. I'm not the issue. I go to work. I don't do anything that I shouldn't be doing on the property. I literally am a perfect citizen for the borough. Like, there could be literally people that are worse. There's a lot of people that are worse. I don't have anything that causes any concern. There's no cops in my house. My house is always clean. My yard's always mowed. Like, just stop harassing me. It's what it is. It's harassment. So if everybody could just stop, like, looking and be like, huh, here he is again. No, how about you just stop? Just leave me alone. I'll
When
leave
you
you
get the proper permitting for the business.
Okay, well then, you didn't give me any
we can
chance.
address that.
You didn't give me any chance.
Wait a minute, those were filed 30 days after the last court hearing.
Okay, if you knew what I've been through the last 30 days. Now, I knew it, okay. But anyways, if you knew the shit that I had to go through the past, since I've been out of this it doesn't matter, it doesn't even matter. So anyways, we can play we can play the game, but either way, this is very annoying. I'm more than happy to go. I don't know if you're trying to like make me broke. It's not gonna work. I don't really understand what your goal is here. But regardless, I'm more than happy to entertain. So I make my own schedule and I have plenty of money to fight these. So I don't know if it's entertainment for you or you just like paying your truck note every month with.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
just stop harassing me. Appreciate it. And you're not turn to talk, so.
All right.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
If a permit is filed by him, we could have the one month extension filed on that specific violation to allow him to have that time, if that would occur.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's
So if
the
you get
thing
that
that I
in, we can move
do.
it so that we don't have to go to the hearing.
That's what I do all the time with
And
many
just get it
people.
in. That's it.
Is
Well, I don't know that.
Continuations, but you need two parties.
Let me
I agree.
just say
Just
one
get it
thing. With the issue of the business operating out of the dwelling, it's a question of the language in the ordinance. We have two different types of situations. One is what's called a no-impact home-based business. Those are permitted, and I believe I don't know if you were referring to Jessica or who you were referring to, what the other person. You can do a no-impact home-based business as a legal matter of right in the borough. There are very strict limitations. You can't have any evidence of it happening there at all from the outside, except for a very small nameplate. The other thing is you have what's called a home occupation. The home occupation allows you to operate a business from the dwelling with some additional permissions, but you have to meet some requirements. That's, I think, what the issue is here. You're thinking one thing, he's thinking another, and to be honest with you, the fact that you have your truck there and the fact that you have your business registered there with the state of Pennsylvania, which we have looked into,
That's
just
fine,
to
it's
get,
public information.
to get facts,
Yeah,
leads me to believe that he's correct, that you have to have a special exception for a home occupation. It's a simple matter of paying the fee and going in front of the zoning hearing board and meeting the requirements.
yeah.
That's it.
See, I'm not when I go up there, I'm not trying to argue. Maybe it sounds like I'm arguing. I'm not arguing. I'm just trying to conversate back and forth. But regardless, maybe I come off as arguing. But I don't even want a nameplate out there. All I want to do is come home, park my truck, and go in and live my life inside. I'm not running a business out of there. I'm not making calls out of there. I understand, like, even not. I work very hard to keep. That house is not my house, right? I bought that as an investment property to live there just for a few years and then rent both sides out and be gone. That was my goal. So I purposely made my business absolutely, completely unconnected from that property, 100%. Customers don't know the address. Customers don't know anything other than the van parked in the driveway. But there's a lot of vans parked in the driveway, everywhere through 7 Mountain. So just because you have a company van in the driveway doesn't make that a business. That just means you came home from work. See what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing.
It's not an issue for tonight, but Commonwealth
Yeah,
Court, which
that's
is the
fine.
appellate court
I
in
understand.
Pennsylvania,
Right, and you can legally have
disagreed with
right. You can legally have your home address as your business and not run a business out of your house. Your business does not have to be connected to the business that you're actually running a business out of.
Now again, one of the things that I think is part of the problem here is corporation law says you can do that, but zoning law might not.
Okay.
That's why this all has to be worked out. And the problem is that you've gotten to the point where every time Todd wants to, I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong here.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been involved with you in court once. He's been involved with you a couple times. What I'm telling you is this, as the borough solicitor, I don't want money from you. I don't want you to have to pay money at the district justice. I don't want you to have to pay money for a defense lawyer. We simply want you to be in compliance like we want everybody else to.
Which is fine, but communication is key. I mean,
And I'll do wax. Here's the communication. File for a permit and we can probably get this resolved.
I would hope
That's
so.
all we're asking.
But-
File for the permit.
yeah, we can do that, but
There's no.
the second thing's gonna be the
file for it.
rubbish. There's
Just
no
file
rubbish.
for it. Just file for the permit.
We're done with that, yes.
Okay,
I
then
heard that
stop.
the first time, we're good. That's the first one.
Well,
The second issue, the rubbish, it isn't rubbish.
well,
I have many photos of going through driveways through Seven Valleys and seeing that they keep stuff that's made who is to consider what is rubbish?
well.
No, it's not, there actually isn't.
It's
I swear there is
it's
not.
ultimately up to the
100%.
judge. What I saw in those photographs when we were there on July 1st I was there to represent the borough.
Right.
If I'd have been the judge, I would have found you guilty. So
We-
maybe you
It
clean
was
up,
not-
maybe
yeah.
you've taken things
There's
out.
no cleaning up there. It was, yeah, okay. But anyways, you make it sound like there's like piles of trash and baby diapers and that's not what it, that's not what it was. It was, stuff that was clean and you would be fine touching it without gloves. So, like I said, there's people that have, people on the borough members right now, they have something in their driveway that I would consider rubbish. But who is to consider what's rubbish? So if I was driving around looking for rubbish, then I could choose who wants to have rubbish. But what I'm saying is, so even after these things, right, besides this stuff, right, I bought yard signs for my business, right? I was proud of them, so I put one out of my yard, right? He comes in and goes, oh, you erected a business sign. That's not erecting a business sign. You said it yourself. He's not 100% clear with all the zoning officer laws and you help him out, right? So he's not 100%. So
Well,
he's
that-
new at
that
this.
Technically would have been a violation because you're.
Not in the borough, no.
You're advertising your on-site business sign.
It doesn't matter that's, okay, well, regardless of that too.
I don't have a personal vendetta with you. I'm telling you, in my opinion.
What I'm saying is,
As a zoning attorney.
I looked at
you're in violation.
yeah, and yeah. But regardless. All I'm asking is if he can stop harassing me. If somebody can talk to him and ask him to stop harassing.
3.5 minutes.
I just want to say, if people
Come on up here, and you talk to us, you talk to each other after the meeting, if you want to talk to each other, talk to
No,
us.
no, I just have something. And my name is Sharon Dillon, 52 Church Street. If you want to complain about somebody, your neighbor, this person, that person, then you're supposed to bring it up to someone, or bring it here, am I correct?
Not that I was aware of, but that's what it's turned into.
But I'm saying, like, if you ever complain about your neighbor, don't you bring here like a dog, like I did the other month about a
If
dog?
you can't talk to your neighbor, then I guess that's where we end up.
But
Or not
this
even.
neighbor has the risk of talking, aren't you supposed to bring it to the borough?
No, as Doug pointed out, zoning is driven 98, most of it's driven by complaints from other
That's what I'm
citizens.
saying.
Right. And usually I get an email or a telephone call, is how I learn about it. That's how I learned about the chickens. Someone saw chickens on the street, in Cherry Street or something, and that's
I'm just
how.
wondering, I thought you had to take, what are you gonna do with it, you don't take it to somebody?
Oh, no, you're right. It comes to the borough, and if it would come to me or any of the borough members, we would direct it to the borough.
You know, that's the thing, if you talk to a council member, they'll tell you to call me.
Just like Tom just said, we would have never knew about
Don't
that
be calling
chicken
hot
that
wherever you
they
go.
moved down on Cherry Street.
Well, that's right, and I would just like to say, that,
Anybody else?
yeah, I'd just like to say, in regard to a wonderful gentleman here who was saying, you know, that I'm getting old. That you should, if you have a problem with your neighbor, you should go talk to them. I've been a zoning officer for many years in another borough, and I was here for a few years. Nobody wants to go and talk to their neighbor about the problem. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. If you have a problem, you're gonna call the zoning officer to handle it, because you don't wanna go to your neighbor. So, you know, it sounds really nice. And it would be wonderful if maybe in this kindness week that we have, that people could do that, but that doesn't happen.
I feel like that would be less than kind though, if everybody just went to their neighbors with their complaints.
New Jersey.
All right. Gosh, I'm missing the Ravens cheesecake.
Good, all right.